Hi, I'm Valerie. Thank you for joining me today. Today I'm going to continue talking about how I've been using the 5 in a row unit study books in a co-op setting. And today we're going to be talking about the book Storm in the Night. It's written by Mary Stoltz and illustrated by Pat Cummings, and it's a really rhythmic tale about a young boy who is stuck at home with his grandfather when the lights go out due to a thunderstorm. And grandfather takes him down memory lane and talks about a time when he was also in a storm and was rather afraid. So it's a lesson on what to do when you're afraid. It's filled with a lot of onomatopoeia, which are words that sound like what they mean, like clang and bang and those kinds of things. There's a lot of that you can discuss in the story. You can talk about thunderstorms. You could do a science experiment on how thunderstorms form. There's lots of good ideas for making science projects at home. Unfortunately, my class didn't have access to water or to an area that would be free. If we made a mess, it would be easy to clean up. We weren't in that type of situation, so I couldn't do those experiments. And there aren't a lot of crafts available about thunderstorms. What I was able to do is talk about weather a little bit. So we read the story and we really enjoyed it. And then when the story was done, we talked about safety during thunderstorms. We talked about staying indoors when there's lightning. We talked about not going near water at home or swimming or getting under a tree if you're outside during a thunderstorm because lightning could strike the tree. So we talked about some safety measures, and we also talked about Psalm 53:6. What time I am afraid, I will trust in thee. It's a short Bible verse, and we recited it a few times together. And it was a good reminder for all of us. And we talked about how the psalmist was an adult when he wrote that Bible verse when he's afraid. So even adults can get afraid at times and be afraid, but we keep our eyes on the Lord. We trust the Lord to keep us safe, and He will do that. He will help us. So we talked about that, and then we went over to the table and we made a few craft things. First of all, this is not something we did in class. I found these in a printable to make a lap book for weather. And I just cut these out, and I printed them or copied them, and I cut them out, and then I ran them through my laminator, and I sent them home with all the kids that and I sent a note to the parents on our Facebook page to say that I was sending these home, and hopefully they could use them at some point in their homeschooling because it's small, and I figured they'll be learning about weather eventually. So you use a dry erase marker and you fill in what the temperature is inside and then outside, and I've done it for what it's like here today, and it's 71 cozy in my home, but outside it's 38 degrees and very windy, so actually it feels even colder than 38 degrees. But anyway, this is something that I was able to send home with them. And then in class we made this little weather gauge. It's very simple, as you can see, only 4 choices: sunny, windy, cloudy, or rainy. And I got these really cheap paper plates at the store. I went ahead of time and made the 4 quadrants. I tried to measure and make 4 equal sections. Now, they didn't come out perfectly, but close enough. And so I had that already done. And then when we got to class, I handed out this sheet for them to color and then cut out. It was nice because the only thing that needed any real detail cutting was this arrow that was going to spin around on the dial. The weather today is. So they colored everything, and they just had to cut these into squares. We didn't cut them. As you can see, they're not cut out individually. So that was a little easier for their little hands. And so then after they did that, we used just stick glue, because you don't need anything really strong to hold this on. Stick glue to glue them in the right quadrants. And then we used just a brass fastener and poked it through. Now, I already had a hole kind of pre-poked into the plate to make it easier for them, because these things, believe it or not, are a little bit sharp, so be careful for little fingers pushing them through the plate. And then that was it. Really quick and easy little craft they can do at home and have fun with, mostly something to keep them busy in our class time. Then we did have time. Usually you don't have to send, if you've watched any of my previous videos on what we do in our class time, I often have to send things home with the students because we run out of time, but I'd rather have too much than too little to keep them occupied. But actually this last time, a lot of them got everything done that I had planned. We made this types of weather book, and once again, it's a printable that I got from Diving Into Learning. And I printed it out. There's 2 on a page. So there's the types of weather, and then there was this one, sunny, and you're right, it is sunny. And this was on, so this was one page, so I cut it in half, and I cut all of them in half. Then I went ahead and stapled them like a book, so it's like a little flip book like this. And then they just had to go through, color the pictures that are on each one, and write down what the weather is. So for example, it is cloudy, that's what they would put for that one. And this is a rainbow, and they could color the rainbow. And it is windy, that's wind. And so we talked about the different types of weather, and they could color that. That's really all we had time to do in our class. If you are doing 5 in a row at home, the book is chock full of ideas, different projects you can do. I mean, 5 in a row, the idea behind it is that you read the book one time every day of the week, and that day you concentrate on some different aspect, maybe the art of the book, or a science project, or a math idea, or grammar, or whatever. You do something different every day. Unfortunately, I only get 1 hour, basically about 1 hour a week with my students to do these activities with, and I'm limited on our location as to what we do. So it makes it a little more difficult to come up with activities, but thanks to the World Wide Web, I've been finding plenty of ideas, plenty of things I want to do. It's just a matter of getting it all organized and coordinated for my students. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this was a help to you. If you're new to my channel, I'd appreciate your subscribing to it. Leave me a comment or a question below. I'd love to hear from you, and give me a like. I will be posting the links to where I find these materials in the description box below, so please take a look there. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time.